Cultural studies and its variations, the Etic and Emic approaches. The cultural studies paradigm is becoming the new consensus in the academic study of religion. Scholars almost universally recognize that religion or religions are not monolithic but internally diverse, are not static but change and evolve over time, are not discrete, separate entities, but are embedded in their cultures, socially, economically, politically, and in every way. To study phenomena like the religions requires a multidisciplinary approach, drawing on the techniques and sources of many disciplines, requires recognition that our knowledge is situated, specific to our locations, experiences, and perspectives, requires focus on the incorporation of power relations in and around the religions, and finally the recognition that religious worlds and their norms are human-made, socially constructed phenomena. Cultural studies is multidisciplinary. What this means is that it draws on methods taught in many concrete disciplines. In the university, we usually think of these as associated with academic departments. So, for instance, the various branches of the humanities and the various branches of the social sciences, both qualitative and quantitative or statistical, but not usually including the natural or physical sciences. The cultural studies paradigm doesn't determine everything about theoretical perspective and methodological approach, however. There are still alternatives, in particular the choice between whether to study religion from the outsider's perspective, observing religion from outside, versus studying religion from the insider's perspective, trying to grasp what religion means from inside. We often label this as the difference between the Etic and Emic approaches. The distinction between Etic and Emic comes from the area of linguistics. A phonetic approach to the study of language focuses on the sounds people make when they speak. It doesn't focus on what those sounds mean. To study phonetics, you do need to listen to speakers talk, but you don't need to talk to them about what they're saying. In fact, they may not be able to tell you. A phonemic approach, on the other hand, focuses on the phonemes, the smallest units of meaning. To get at meaning, you do have to talk to the speakers and find out what they think they're saying. You have to get the insider's perspective. So Etic approaches are outsider perspective approaches that rely on outsider observation and analysis. Emic approaches are insider perspective approaches that rely on insider information and empathetic interpretation. Both approaches are multidisciplinary, but each tends to have different agendas and to emphasize different methods. Those differences reflect some of the historic questions and related methodological choices that have guided scholars of religion in the past. These two fundamental approaches, Etic and Emic, tend to line up with other dimensions of method, that is, the specific theoretical and technical things we do, and the questions we ask and try to answer, and the sources we use, and the evidence we consider important, etc., when we try to study religion as scholars. Functionalist approaches, for instance, which are generally reductionist, and also generally Etic or outsiders approaches, tend to rigorously question the validity of religious accounts, methodically assuming that religion masks the hidden agendas of powerful social actors. Phenomenology, on the other hand, which is generally a non-reductionist and Emic or insiders approach, tends to proceed by accepting religious accounts as at least true for the insiders who give them, for the purposes of understanding those insiders and their experiences. We'll be exploring each of these kinds of distinct scholarly projects in more detail as the session proceeds.